Welcome to A Photographer's Life, the channel that takes you behind the curtain into the world of professional architectural photography. Join us now for a special episode with some of America's premier architectural photographers. Today's broadcast is part 3 of a 3-part question and answer meeting. This meeting was held by the Association of Independent Architectural Photographers, and the discussion is led by AIAP Director Alan Blakely. We hope you enjoy the show. If you do, please let us know by liking this episode and subscribing to this channel. Now, on with the show.
Let me kind of switch gears if you don't mind here. And I'm just curious, is anybody here shooting medium format?
Well, I started shooting with the Fuji 50S, yeah.
Okay.
And that's for a specific product that we're doing.
Okay.
And my retouch really likes the files. He's got a lot of depth in the shadow areas. It's almost like you hardly even have to bracket.
Wow. I've heard it's a wonderful camera.
Yeah.
And 100 also.
Yeah, the 100S. And I just saw that there's a Metabones adapter that will allow you to use your Canon EF lenses on that camera, and it actually has a lens element in it that enlarges the image circle so that your Canon lenses will now produce an image circle large enough for that medium format sensor.
So you mean you could do a wide angle like a proper 20 or 16 millimeter or something equivalent?
And
wow.
It seems to me that the adapter was in the $700-800 range. But it does have a lens element of it, or probably multiple elements in there for enlargement in order to make that lens usable on that larger format. So that was kind of compelling, because I mean, for me, the stumbling block to go to medium format is that I can't use my tilt shift lenses. And
I mentioned this to you a while ago, Alan, that when I talked to the rep for Fuji, this was like 3 years ago. He said the tilt shift quality on the edges wasn't great, but maybe that's changed by now. Maybe that's what you're saying. I need to do a little bit of research and see if the quality is going to, you can have confidence in the quality of the edges on the tilt shift on the Fuji.
yeah,
Other than that, it's been a great camera.
Does everybody here use tilt shift? Or do they use a prime and then correct it in software?
That's what I'm still doing. I have
Okay.
a 20 and then I correct, but I've trained my eyes so much to be able to see that unless I'm specifically tilting up for the correction of posting it later or correcting it later in post, I don't run into a lot of things that I need to correct. So
Yeah,
there's a little bit here and there, but my eyes are,
The one thing with the tilt shift is you don't have any barrel distortion at all. Even with that Canon 20 millimeter lens, the prime lens, if you look at that when you pull it in, depending on the orientation of the camera, I think it's the left side, you always get little barrels. The left top, you get a little barrel distortion.
yeah, I was
And
getting
you can
that.
correct that with software, but not 100%. With the tilt shift, you don't have any of that. I'm just curious how many are using tilt shift.
I use a 24 on the Canon 24, and I just bought the 17.
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I use are tilt shift lenses.
Yeah, I've been meaning, because I shoot with a D850, a D800, and then I have the 20 for interiors, and then I just kind of switch between my primes for exteriors.
Yeah. And
Gosh, I use a 16 to 35 most of the time, and then just correct in post.
yeah, I still have I always keep it in my bag. I have an old Sony, it's an APS sensor camera with an 11 millimeter lens on it, and it's tack sharp. I can get a 20 by 30 image out of it if I needed to.
Yeah.
But I still use it. I mean, because sometimes I'll be in a situation where my 20 or my 17 just isn't wide enough, and I need that little extra. So I call it my secret weapon. I shoot powder rooms with it all the time. And the lens itself is really rectilinear, and the software eliminates all the distortion. But I'm with Alan. If you're using tilt shift, you don't have any of those problems.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Um, and one thing too about the tilt shift is I tend to shoot from a camera elevation that's not very high, especially interiors.
Yeah,
I'm not shooting eye level when I shoot interiors. And so I've got to have that correction. And for me, if I end up shooting with a lens other than a tilt shift, it just doesn't ever correct properly for my eye. So that's, you know, I'm always, you know, down waist level or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I shoot that low, but yeah, I'm certainly not eye level. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you do get the image circle, the full image circle with tilt. I do have tilt shifts,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no, it's fine. My main hesitation has been my eyes don't work. So a lot of times when I'm looking through my camera, I'm blurry. I can't fully see everything sharp until I get it home and then put my glasses on. So I which is really weird. I've shot that way for years until I realized what was actually going on. So for those little shifts and those little details, I've actually, until I can fully get my glasses to where, or my eyes to where I can see it, I'm afraid of shifting it too far one way or the other, which is why I tend to stick specifically with the one lens.
You know, I use my tilt shifts probably to the extreme as far as the way that I manipulate that front lens element. I spent so many years shooting 4x5 that I'm still used to setting up the camera where I want the viewpoint to be from, and then framing that by moving that element around. And
Okay.
so I don't do just a rise and a shift with that lens. It's a combination of the two to get that image circle where I need it. So for me, it's really indispensable.
I think also the later versions of all these tilt shifts have gotten much sharper.
Oh yeah,
much better than the originals. Yeah,
tremendously. Yeah, especially like the Canon 24. The first one was fairly soft. Not much good for anything but maybe burning ants. I don't know. It was
hobby.
Badlands.
God. Yeah, I've really come to appreciate the sharpness now. But then I have to say, every now and then when I've screwed up, I throw that Topaz sharpening software at it. And God, it's a miracle. It has just made me look like a much better photographer than I was otherwise before.
I use Topaz on everything. I've
never heard of it. What does it do?
Oh my gosh.
Well,
they're plugins. And you can run them independently, but in fact, we have a discount code for Topaz. I think it's 25% off. Let me look here really quick.
And they also have sales. That's what I did. They had a sale at the end of last year, and I scooped everything up.
I did that as well. Let's see. I'm trying to find that.
So what they have while you're looking is they have one for sharpening, one for noise reduction, which is superb. They're all superb. One for making the image bigger, way bigger, and then the video one. And the way that I got turned on to it, I don't know if this is a name drop or not. If you know who Mac Holbert is, or Mac Holbert, he is a well, I'll tell you who he is in a minute. But anyway, he suggested it to me because I was talking about what it was then the new, super expando capabilities of Photoshop, which they spent a lot of time promoting, that you could just increase the size of an image by twice without any loss particularly. And he said it was shit. He said, get Topaz, don't screw around. So Mac Holbert is one of the people that literally invented digital printing. He was Nash. He was him and Graham Nash's Nash Editions.
Yeah, right.
And and so he's in Oregon now, and his business partner Stan Smith used to run the digital lab at the Getty Museum, who I knew and got a tour back there. And boy, talk about some nice equipment, man, oh man. Anyway, so Mac is sponsored by Epson and does a lot of teaching. He's very smart. He's a very nice man, by the way. If you ever get a chance to attend any of his seminars or webinars or whatever he's doing. So his advice is rock solid. he knows. And, he prints for David Hockney. He prints for Stephen Wilkes. He prints for museums all over the world. So they've got quite they're in Ashland. They have a nice setup. It's very industrial. So, I mean, it's just business. And
you guys, you talk a lot about noise reduction.
yeah.
I don't seem to have a problem with noise and anything we shoot. Are you guys shooting at a high ISO when you do architectural?
Well, I use it when I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not in trouble, but if I'm in trouble, it's really nice to have it.
Yeah, I do some stuff like if I'm doing dusk with a drone, I'm gonna have I'm gonna have noise. And
that's right. Yeah.
This new Topaz denoise is a miracle. The discount code I posted on the chat there, it's AIAP 25 with no space, and that's a 25% discount on the Topaz products. But I use the denoise, well, for virtually everything actually, because you'd be surprised the noise that you'll see after you run that product and compare it to the original.
Okay.
You think you don't have noise. Yeah, you've got noise. So
and it sharpens a little bit. That's what I noticed the first time. Yeah. So sometimes I don't use the sharpening very much because that denoise, and it's got controls. You can really massage how much you want it to work or not. And
yeah, I had a photo shoot I did. It was at a planetarium, and I was at 3200 ISO, and I had deep shadows, and it just looked awful. And I ran it through the denoise, and it looked like I'd shot it at 100 ISO. It was just amazing.
Yeah, and you could crop in on things too. So, and then that's when you really start to see noise.
Yeah, and the gigapixel plugin that you've been talking about, Barry, I've used that only a few times, but it's when I've needed to enlarge dramatically, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, also this is not what we do, but I'm involved with I'm on the board that licenses the intellectual property of somebody who took a lot of photographs in the 30s in Bali with an early Leica, 1934 Leica. So, those pictures are a little grainy sometimes. And I was asked, we were asked to license some of the stuff to the museum. And so I took some of those images to make them bigger and make them look good. And I saw them printed and I was just floored. So, you can go back into your archives and sometimes rescue things that you might want to use, or just do a nice thing for a friend or whatever. It's just such smart. It's AI, right? This is AI for the benefit of humanity, as opposed to AI that's going to steal your identity.
and I rely on those different AI models pretty heavily because I can mess with it a bunch, but some of those models just do it for me automatically so well. Yeah, worth looking into, definitely. It's changed the way my work looks dramatically. I wish I'd had it years ago.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's similar to, in a way, the healing tool in Photoshop has now become so incredibly smart and good that I use the cloning tool less if I have to fix something or get rid of something, telephone pole, that kind of thing. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
All right, I'm at their website. I'm downloading, so we'll see. I've never noticed any, Alan. No, you'll notice it. We'll see.
Well, I was surprised because I reprocessed a few things and I thought, oh, geez, should I redeliver this?
Oh yeah, I've had that thought. I don't. If they're not complaining, and they're still hiring me, I'm a happy fellow. I mean, sometimes I will actually, if it's really. If a picture is just so much improved for some reason, then I will send it to them. And then you look like a hero because they didn't know there was a problem. They didn't ask for it. And now you've done this thing, right?
But now there's the expectation that you're going to deliver photographs.
Yeah.
It's always nice when you can, I think everybody here does that. You look at your work 5 years ago, and you look at your work today and you're thinking, wow, what a difference, And I've thought that too. The client's still using that picture, boy, I should I should do it. I had a client just 2 weeks ago. There's a client that I have. We're doing a big video production for. They're an architectural client, and they've redone their commercial space. They're an interior design firm commercially, and there's like 4 or 5 family members that own the business, and I was in the parking lot getting my car, and one of the owners came out, and he goes, I've only seen him 3 times. He goes, "You're our photographer, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." And I went over and met him again. And he said, "Did you shoot this project in St. Charles in 2017? And I told him, yeah. I even told him the month I did it. And he gets his iPad out and he thumbs to a picture. He goes, "This picture here has made me $1 million. $1 million. And he shakes my hand. Maybe it makes your day.
Yeah.
I came
Get it on
back,
film.
I came back to the office, and I showed it to Mary Beth, and Mary Beth looks at it and she goes, "Oh, we could do better now." and you're thinking, "Oh, should we redo it?" But
Wow.
that's the thing that's exciting about what we do, and I think that's why we stay in it so long. Is it just gets better and gets better, and like what you're telling me here, I can't wait to try this stuff when this Zoom meeting's over.
Oh yeah.
So,
But, also I think like Alan was saying, you sometimes you have to shoot using a high ISO for some reason, and no matter how good the cameras are, 3200, or 32,000, you're just going to have some noise, and you're going to have some lack of sharpness. And so if you can get it to a point that it's commercially viable, man, you could shoot handheld,
yeah, I'm always shooting at super low ISOs,
oh yeah,
just to avoid noise. And there've been plenty of times when I wish even at, I won't even shoot at 800 because, I can see it.
You will now.
I do
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah. It changed the way I look at things now, because if I have to shoot an architectural shot with people in it, I don't have any problem shooting that at 400 now.
yeah.
And
I don't do that
making
either.
sure that I've got people are sharp, and that works out just fine because I know I can clean it up.
Yeah, I think dusk shots in particular, because I've had some situations where I mistimed how much time I really had before I lost the good blue sky or something like that. And I'm out there shooting practically in the dark going, oh my God, I even on a tripod, I'm having to crank it up to 800, and shooting it f8, just doing all the things I don't really want to have to do. And so knowing I got that software that'll just get me over the line, it's just a little,
And it would help if there were better sensors out there. I'm sure hoping that happens this year. So I wish Canon and Nikon would just have better sensors. I don't know. I have never shot a Sony, so I don't know. And I understand that those are better as far as noise.
Well, the sensor that's in a Sony is the same. The sensor that's in the Nikon is a Sony sensor.
They're the same.
is that right?
Nikon uses Sony sensors.
Yeah.
But the new Sony sensors that were, and I think it's a 7R4 is the new one.
Yeah.
Is that right? That's what we're using for video here. With those, my nephew came in here with some new Zeiss lenses for that Sony camera.
Mm-hmm.
And so we put it on a tripod, and I shot what I always use for architectural. And then he put the Zeiss lens on there. It is so much sharper than I mean, you laugh out loud. It's almost too sharp, but it's so much sharper.
You also get more sort of 3D-ness out of it, right? You get a little more depth in the contrast.
I don't know that I would use it, Barry, for architectural, because I like using older cameras and lenses for architectural. I like the way it looks. I like I don't shoot the 5D or the 1DX, right? Or the DX, what is it, 1DX? I don't shoot that for architectural because I think they're too analytical. They show too many artifacts in the picture.
Well, the SR, which is what I shoot, doesn't have an anti-aliasing filter, which I sometimes wish it did.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I shoot the same camera, and I agree.
Yeah, the R5 doesn't have that, and it's supposed to have a better sensor as well. I'm trying to justify spending yet another $4,000 on yet another body.
Actually, they've come down tremendously in price.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, they're about 2 now.
Really?
Yeah.
R5 or
Yeah,
5R, whatever.
I just looked on B&H yesterday, and as I recall, they were around $2,000 for the body.
Is that because they're going to be replaced soon, or?
I sure hope so.
It's an ancient camera. It's been out for like 2 years, right? 3 years.
Ancient. I shoot with a 900 and 850. I think it was 10 years old. I had a, but I like them. I like the results. So I keep, until I see better for what the, but
Yeah.
I've got an A6500 Sony that is my kind of walk around camera, and I'm startled by how good that is. And I had a Fuji X-T2. And I was floored. The glass, Fuji glass.
Yeah, it's good.
Good stuff.
It's really good. Yeah.
And I got rid of it though, because it had a bunch of knobs on the top, because it's a retro style, and they move. They just freaking move. And when you're doing documentary work or it's not a problem when you're doing architecture things just sitting there on a tripod and you're not. But if you're carrying this thing around and the knobs start to move and suddenly your settings are all shot, you go, fuck. So I gave up. I just said I didn't care about the quality of the glass at that point, because I wasn't even getting the shot. Anyway, sorry. I've digressed.
Anything else before we wrap up here? This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody that's been on.
This is always a lot of fun.
It's going to be every Friday morning or every other Friday
Why do
morning.
we do this only once a month?
Well, we do this once a month. I think for most of us, that's probably
Once a month's great, yeah.
as much as we can squeeze out. I know. Thanks to everybody that's joined us on this. I'll be posting this here probably within the next week, and I don't know that we'll do much editing on it. It'll be interesting. Just so you know, the YouTube videos that we post, they do get some traffic, mostly from our membership, but the podcast traffic has been through the roof on this, which I find really interesting. We've got people listening to this all over the world. So
That's great, though.
it's really
That's
kind
awesome.
of been fun. I mean, I got a congratulations from Spotify just recently on the number of downloads. So
Yeah,
it's interesting. But thanks to everyone, and I hope that you have a good April and stay safe. And I will send you an announcement for the next one. If you've got anything you'd like to talk about, let me know.
All right.
All right.
Good.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
thank you so much. Take care.
This has been another episode of A Photographer's Life. If you've enjoyed this program, please let us know by liking this episode and subscribing to this channel. A Photographer's Life is brought to you by the Association of Independent Architectural Photographers. This episode is copyrighted and may not be used in full or in part without the written permission of the AIAP. Please join us again soon for another inside look at the world of professional architectural photography.